Hello everybody, welcome to my latest video. This is on Abiotic Factor. That's the name of the video, not me saying some really strange scientific term. It's a game I have never heard of. It appeared on PlayStation Plus free games. It said it was survival, so I thought I'd give it a go. When I watch the trailer videos, as I always do when I'm downloading anything, even if it's from PlayStation Plus, I was struck by the graphics. Now, this is obviously an art direction choice. I believe it's in line with the Valheim effect, and that's what I call games which rely on pixels for their textures and graphics rather than shaders. So, in effect, they have different coloured pixels all over the place, and the arrangement of those different coloured pixels is what gives the texture and the shade and etc, etc. You can kind of see it in the background of this character creation screen. Now, coming on to that, character creation is extremely simple. Pick a default head, pick a default, or I say default, pick a version of a head, pick a version of your hair, your beard, your clothes, glasses, name badge, etc, etc, and that's basically all you get. You don't get to change the pitch of your voice or anything. You pick a male voice or a female voice, and it's a very posh sounding character, I must say. But I'm going to cut this bit short because although it's very simple, it does take me quite a long time, and we will jump straight into some of the gameplay. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, I'm going to say. So you enter what looks like, I've got to say it, I'm going to say it straight away, this is basically a parody of the original Half-Life, I'm sure of it. So you're in a research facility where something's gone wrong and you have loads of aliens around the place. Now, the characters look very similar to the original Half-Life. I don't know whether you've played it, but if you haven't, definitely worth a go. You play as a scientist, although this one you get to pick your character. In the original Half-Life you didn't. But this is a survival version of Half-Life, and that's what's really intrigued me. Now, this is a very cheesy, tongue-in-cheek kind of action. It's exactly the same as Half-Life. Now, the only thing that I think I'm going to be missing is some of the sound effects from Half-Life, which are iconic to this day. I know they're not going to be the same, because I think if they did use those same sound effects, I think something might be said about that. But either way, so far I'm quite impressed with the game. Now, I know what you've seen on screen is not much so far, but even so, it's I've had the benefit of doing this voiceover after I've played for quite a lot more than this, and it is really good. It is really good. So I'm going to talk you through what's going on without trying to spoil too much. But basically, within the first opening section, and this is the opening section, this is all the prologue, I suppose. In this section, you basically find out that something has gone wrong, and the building that you're in is in a kind of lockdown, so you need to get sent to the dormitories, in effect. But you don't end up there, you end up somewhere else, and you quite quickly end up trying to find your way through air ducts and various other things, finding different materials as you go. And that's where the crafting section comes in. Now, one thing about this that was a little disappointing initially, and it might open up later, but I can't see how, is there's no building. And by building, I mean you cannot create your own little structures and castles and things like that. You can create crafting benches and put them next to power outlets, and you can do things along that lines, but you literally cannot build your own sanctuary or building. That being said, I don't think that's necessarily a massive problem, but it is something that I do like when I come across survival games, so I always do look out for building, and hopefully that building will actually be correct building, where you place the building parts yourself rather than just slapping a whole building down. Now, I'm going to reference Tales of Agasba there. I do love that game, but I would like it that you could build your own buildings and have them actually usable rather than them just be in essence a shop. Now, as you can see, walking through all this ducting, finding things as we go. Some areas cannot be breached, other areas can. It does give you some very, very not patronising, but very simple instruction. There's a crate in front of you. You might want to smash it. We have lots of them. What I couldn't do quite quickly was find out how to cycle through my items. Obviously, this is set for keyboard because it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is quite simple. But it turns out that it is quite literally hold L1. That brings up a nice little wheel with your items on. And there we go. The animations are relatively decent. The damage to the crates is quite nice because it shows like little chips from it rather than massive sections being taken out of it. I do find that relatively nice, and pretty much all of them can be smashed depending on what weapon you're using. I've only come across wooden crates so far in this particular video. I have come across metal crates later on. I cannot damage those at all, but there again I am using some very, very rudimentary and basic items such as a tonfa and a wooden chair leg. We'll go to that now actually. But before we go there, we'll stay here. As you can see, this looks like a new start screen. However, in the background you can see I'm still in the elevator that I've just jumped into. And it allows me to enter the facility. Now, start new game, load game. I'm not quite sure what's going on, or I wasn't at that time. Now, basically what happens is that first opening section is literally teaching you how to play the game very, very basically. After that, and when you go down into the office area, you basically get to start again with your character. You have no items or anything like that, which is a little bit jarring as you had some pretty decent stuff, although I say 2 wrenches is decent, or 2 spanners if you're in the UK. But as soon as you start a new game, it takes you into this character creation again. Now this isn't creating your character's looks, this is creating your character's job and attributes in effect. So you can select what type of character you want, your archetype in effect. So as you can see, they're all sciencey based, but some of them are definitely better than others at combat, some are better at construction, etc, etc. The problem that I had was I went for a combat guy. I wish I hadn't, because combat is really difficult at the best of times, but it's even more difficult when you cannot build as much as you really wanted to. So something to do with construction or something along those lines would have been better for me. But I went for this, a defense analyst. So I got lots of different things for blunt weapons, etc, etc, but it would have been better if I had something different. Now, what I didn't notice at the time when I was starting this character is, if you notice in the negative traits, it has slow learner activated. That means I get less experience, so it's harder for me to do anything. I can't learn recipes by people sharing them with me, and basically I have completely nerfed myself without even realizing. So please do make sure that when you're doing your available traits, make sure that the negative traits that you have there are actually useful. And I know no negative trait is ever going to be useful, but some of them are worth way more negativity than others. I'm not sure that even makes sense, but I think you get my point. I would, in essence, have less positive traits just to get rid of that negative trait. And it is making me think I should possibly start over again. Basically, you start with 5 points. You do have this negative effect from your negative points, which basically gives you extra points. So if you deselect that slow learner, for instance, you will have some of your points taken off you. So you might start with just 2. But either way, select the positive perks that you want, deselect the negative traits that you don't want, and you are pretty good to go. So let's get into the actual gameplay. It's very much, as I mentioned before, a bit like Half-Life, but crossed with a very basic form of Ark, for example. So you have the ability to craft things from materials that you find. Your available space at the beginning is extremely limited. You basically have 12 slots and they fill up exceptionally fast. As soon as they are filled up, you cannot equip anything else. Now, one thing that is actually quite helpful is when you put things in your hotbar, it does remove them from your inventory. So in effect, you have an additional 8 spaces. So you have an additional 8 inventory slots for things that are on your hotbar as well. Again, they do fill up extremely quickly. And if you're trying to pick something up that is, how should I say, not weapon or something like that based, but you have no space in your inventory, it will automatically equip it to your hotbar, which isn't necessarily the best. Now you can craft lots of different things. You can craft items for healing, you can craft items for combat, you can craft all sorts of things like that, but you can also craft workstations. And some of those workstations are exceptionally useful. Now, the problem with all of these is they need resources, and some of those resources are extremely hard to find. What I would suggest to you is loot everything, smash as many things as you possibly can, and when you do that, you should hopefully start finding some raw materials. Now, when I say smash anything you can, I really mean it. If a table can be highlighted, it can be smashed. And if you can smash that table, you are possibly going to get some form of metal or wood or something along those lines from it. It's exceptionally useful and exceptionally important that you do so as quickly as you possibly can. Now, I have played for quite a long time, as I say. However, I haven't really got very far into the facilities because I have been focusing on trying to get some better items. As you can see, you do have status, so health issues such as illnesses, etc. You can get dirty in this. And my character was dirty after a specific fight. Now, when you get dirty, you are more susceptible to illness, so it's a good idea to keep yourself clean. One thing that I have noticed is keeping yourself clean removes the water that you could otherwise drink, so you have to choose which one's more important at the time. As you're going around, you will find sinks or basins with water in. As soon as you use them, that water's gone, and as far as I can tell, it does not refill. So that is also something to consider. Now, the way you find new recipes is interesting. If it's an item, when you pick the item up, it will unlock the recipe for that item. Sometimes I've noticed that it will actually unlock a crafting station as well. So, definitely worth picking everything up, even if it means dropping something you want to pick up something you don't want. It might just unlock something that will be useful later on. Now, the chances are if it's used to unlock it, it will actually be used to make it as well. So do bear that in mind if you're going to redrop the item. But you can then make a call on whether or not you want to, which item you want to keep in effect. So carbuncle crown, if I want to make it, I'm going to have to find more carbuncle because I used the carbuncle I had to find the recipe, if that makes sense. So, this has been going on for over 14 minutes, this video, and so far I haven't said what I thought of the game. I'm actually on the fence. I like it. I have been playing for a little bit, not a huge amount because I had to go out today, but what I've played so far I have actually enjoyed. The parts that I haven't enjoyed is the inability to make your own buildings, which I mentioned previously. But also the, how should I say, combat system is a little bit awkward. Now, just after this section here, I had to craft a battery to unlock the door to let this guy in. I'm not going to spoil anything, but a fight ensues, and I had no idea how to fight the creature. It did end up killing me, and I did eventually beat it. The reason it killed me is because I have a tonfa which was broken, and no way of blocking, and from what I can tell, no way of dodging, so I could not avoid its hits. The only way I could do that is to basically run backwards and hope it missed, which is not ideal. From a combat perspective, it's not too dissimilar to Ark in as far as it's a very simple press a button to swing your weapon. There's no combo system or anything like that from what I can tell. But there is quite a severe skill tree system in this, and by severe I mean quite complicated. And it might be that the skills for block and combos and things like that are all locked away in that skill tree. The thing is, I can't find out how to unlock things on the skill tree. I think it is purely using the skill. And if you can't block, how can you use the skill to unlock block? Bit of a conundrum. But even so, from what I've played for the rest of it, I was actually quite getting into it towards the end before I had to go out. So I would say that for a free game, it's definitely worth a download if you're into survival. If you're into Half-Life, it's probably worth a download because I get the impression it's going to be a very similar type of game. If you imagine Half-Life with crafting, that's going to basically be what it's like, and I think that's going to be really impressive. Now, I've yet to see further on into the game, but I wanted to do this relatively quickly because the number of times I've missed out on viewers because somebody else has already released 10,000 videos on it, I wanted to make sure, if I could, that I got this out as quick as I possibly could. So hopefully you guys will appreciate that. But as I play more of this, I will possibly release some update videos. If you're interested, please do let me know down below in the comments, because it would really help me out, basically. I don't get many comments to tell me what sort of videos you guys want, so it does make it difficult to judge what to make. But hopefully this video is interesting enough that you guys will like watching it. But anyway, as far as whether I advise getting this, I would say yes. It's definitely worth a go because it's free for a start, but not only that, it's actually got quite a bit going for it. Graphics wise, it's not the best, but it really does work. And although I'm not a big fan of pixel games, I'm not a big fan of 2D pixel games that are retro for the sake of being retro, to try and sell that retro vibe. I think this is a genuine art direction simply because they want it to look more like Half-Life. And I know that in and of itself is retro, but I think it's retro in the right way. And maybe that's just me being biased, but there we go. Anyway, I'm going to leave the video there. As I say, I might do some updates later on. If you're interested, obviously let me know down in the comments below and look out for them in the future. So, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have enjoyed the video, please make sure you do click the like button. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. And please, please, please make sure you do leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of the video. Not only that, let me know whether you would like to see more videos on this game in the future. And as always, I really look forward to seeing you for my next video very soon. You all take care. Bye for now.